Welcome back to Culture Matters. Joining us here in the studio are two professional race car drivers, Thomas and Ryan. Okay, if I have a small car, like a Golf, like a Polo, can you do drifting on any kind of cars?
No.
What do you mean?
When you try to do the thing called the drifting, the car has to be the two-wheel drive, and it has to be the back wheel.
Oh.
Yeah. So most of the small cars, like you mentioned, the Golf or Civic, they are
That's a front-wheel drive. Do you mean that any real drive car you can basically do drifting?
Most of the rear-wheel drive cars, production cars, are probably your so-called sports cars already, and they do. A lot of them do have enough horsepower and torque, and do have that sporty handling. But you can get the car sliding. You can have a little fun in it. But if you want to do professional drifting, where we'll be drifting around the corners exceeding 150 kilometers an hour, sideways, fully sideways, huge snow.
150 kilometers?
Yes.
Per hour?
Yep, that's part of the game, yeah.
They can even do sometimes like in Phuket, right?
Yeah.
They do 200 kilometers per hour and drifting.
Yeah.
Through the corner.
It's the almost the fastest drifting corner worldwide in all the circuits.
Is it dangerous?
No, there's always any chance of risk in any sports. If you perfect your car, if you build your car properly with roll cages, with race suits, helmets, harnesses, chances are your car would be total loss, totally damaged, but you can still work out the car.
As a drifter, have you ever encountered in a dangerous situation before?
Sometimes the car would catch on fire, even though when things do go wrong, usually it will just dent your pockets, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt you. To be extreme, I had one circumstances where the rear wheel fell off the car. But even in that, the car, we just slide off the course into the wall, hurt the wall. But even then, because our cars were built properly, we were fine.
Build the car properly.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not using a commercial car, you're modified in it.
Toyota, they have the car called Ritz, right?
Ritz, yes.
Ritz, right, in China. It's the automatic gearbox. So if somehow the auto box is not that good for the drifting. They have sort of the called the VDC. That's from the factory computer. When they detect your car is lose the traction, they'll cut the power. We have to remove that. Like Thomas have mentioned before, we do the roll cage for the car. Sometimes we turbocharge the engine and make the more power, more torque. Then the back wheel can be sliding.
Is a specific type of tire required?
If you want to be competitive, the better tires tend to drift better, but you can use your everyday tire and still have a lot of fun in it.
It was just out of curiosity. I mean, by looking at those race cars, not necessarily for drifting, but for just the race cars, the tire, looks flat, even though they're big. But they're smooth from the outside. What is that?
The tire, if you like, it's like a huge sticky rubber. Obviously, the rubber compound, it's different to our normal tire. The ones on the race car, if you touch them, they actually stick to your finger. The bigger the surface area of that sticky compound, the more traction you actually get, the faster you can go.
I see. By modifying the car, that's your expertise, I would say. Can you modify any kind of cars or special type of cars that you work on only?
Basically, you can modify any car. Like in a small car, you change the tires, change the alloy wheels. You can do it just for the appearance. But what we concentrate on is we're doing sort of the performance tuning. Most of the car we have been modified is like the Lancer, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution and Subaru Impreza STI. That's the two very typical rally car you can see on TV.
I see. Do you have any unusual stories about some cars that you have modified?
I have a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Engine is built in Japan. They change everything, engine components, the piston and the conrods, everything. It shipped back to China and put into my car, and there was a huge turbocharger. And I make it like 620 something brake horsepower on the flywheel.
So if you need a higher horsepower I mean, why don't you buy a different type of car?
We are sort of the JDM guys. JDM is means the Japanese domestic car. My car, like with the 600 something brake horsepower, I can do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in like 3 seconds something.
3 seconds.
I can overtake any supercars you can buy in Shanghai. Doesn't matter Ferrari or Lamborghini.
But it looks exactly the same as the original design.
Yeah, it looks just like a little Japanese car with nothing special. But when the traffic lights off,
that's the beauty of you can almost turn any car into a Ferrari beater. If you want, take your Ferrari to Ryan. He can make it faster for you as well.
Yeah.
Really? Have you done something like that before?
One of our customers is a really crazy guy. He has many cars, and every car has to be modified. He turned his own Porsche 997 Turbo.
997 Turbo. Okay.
Yeah, and with everything like the high exhaust system has been changed, and then we're remapping the ECU 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds. So it's half seconds faster than the original car.
Does that half a second really that important to some of the people? I mean, half a second, come on, you couldn't even tell.
If you were two cars at the traffic light,
okay,
when the light goes green, you've got your 3-second car and your 4-second car, for example. By the time you hit 100, your 3-second car will be 2-3 lengths ahead of the other car already.
For drifting, you mentioned something like sometimes your car will hit the side of the track and so forth.
Yeah, if you make a mistake.
If you make a mistake. How many cars have this guy crashed?
Ask himself.
Well, because I've only just arrived in Shanghai, as we speak in the show earlier. I haven't crashed any cars yet.
Not necessarily here in Shanghai, though.
In my lifetime, big and small crashes, probably at least 30, 40 crashes, I'll say. Similar to a baby learning to walk, they have to fall a few times before they can walk properly. Racing, driving, drifting is just like that, yeah.